The pressure to 25th Amendment Biden does appear to be growing. Only 5 Democrats voted for this bill that is consistent with being an American citizen. We've continued to witness the Hezbollah attacks on Israel. Federal court blocks expansion of Title IX to include gender identity. This is Dr. David D. Schein for the special episode of Saving America with our weekly update. Here's some of the top stories from the last week. Americans, time for the truth to come out. Time to save America. I have known for several decades that Joe Biden is stupid and corrupt. I've been surprised that the Delaware voters, and Delaware is generally a fairly literate state, would vote for this scumball. Frankly, I think they just found him humorous in some weird way and kept voting for him. In any event, he is now full on heading into dementia. Now, I've heard a lot of talk over the last week or so about Parkinson's. I'm not seeing Parkinson's. I'm seeing dementia. And I'm very concerned because people keep saying age. It's not age. Dementia is a specific mental disease. Nancy Pelosi is 3 years older than Biden. She seems perfectly sharp, just greedy, nasty person. Trump is 3 years younger than Biden and appears quite vigorous and aggressive. It's not about age, it's about condition. So in any event, it's time for the slopstream media to stop gaslighting the American people and even the world about this abject cancer on the face of America. Biden's decline is evident even in the recent interview, which was planned as a softball by George Stephanopoulos. As we all know, George was the sad excuse for one of the press folkies for the Clinton administration, and then was rewarded with a position on television where he has been undistinguished but visible, I guess we would say. And in the interview, he was pushed a fair amount to indicate whether he would stay in the race. And he was very insistent. Biden said, I'm going to stay in the race. And Stephanopoulos said, hey, what would it take for you to get out of the race? And Biden said something to the effect of, oh, if the Lord came and told me to do that. Well, given the evil that Biden has brought to America, I don't think it'll be the Lord that comes to visit him. So in any event, that's my 2 cents worth. The pressure to 25th Amendment Biden does appear to be growing. A number of big Democrat supporters, last names like Disney, have said that they will not fund a Biden campaign further. Humorous side note, Biden rejects Trump's, in my opinion, humorous offer to have a golf round at his golf course and to have a no holds barred, no moderator debate. I'm certainly not surprised that Joe turned him down. And frankly, this reminds me of the proposed fight, which has never taken place, between the clown prince Zuckerberg and the oddest billionaire anyone knows, Elon Musk. And I doubt, like I said, that'll ever take place. This is Dr. David D. Schein for Saving America. Please subscribe on your favorite platform. The deranged Senate leader, Chucky Schumer, has totally lost it. It's time for someone to take the microphone away from him. He's having a meltdown over the recent SCOTUS ruling confirming immunity for presidents only for their official acts and certain unofficial acts. This sensible ruling protects presidents regardless of their political affiliation. It is not blanket immunity. I note that the recent SCOTUS term provided a fairly balanced outcome with its decisions. It's time for Chucky to shut up and be taken in a straitjacket to the nearest mental health facility. He's clearly lost it, folks. The House of Representatives voted 221 to 198 to require proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. Only 5 Democrats voted for this bill that is consistent with being an American citizen. So this documents how anti-American the Democrat Party has become. It is totally unacceptable. The act was called Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or SAVE, and it would amend the 1993 National Voter Registration Act, which has also been known as the Motor Voter Law, to require that states obtain documentary proof of U.S. citizenship from someone before he or she may register to vote. Now, the Dems' response to this is, well, it's already a felony to vote illegally. Yeah, lots of luck enforcing that, but I still say it points out a substantial, significant problem in America that the Democrats won't support solid certification of people before they vote. This is not a surprise, of course, that Biden's handlers opposes legislation. After all, why would Americans want free and fair elections? Of course, it's not likely to pass the Senate, where the Dems have the slight advantage in numbers. This is the plan of the incompetent and corrupt Democrats to control the vote by having open borders. They hope the thankful illegals will then vote for them. This is a horrible plot. It sounds like a really bad horror movie, except it's happening to Americans in real life. We've continued to witness the Hezbollah attacks on Israel from southern Lebanon. This is a very serious situation. This is happening due to the weakness of Joe Biden. There's no other reason. We have two serious wars brewing. We could also be on the brink of a nuclear war. Very concerned, folks. Sadly, the U.S. has failed to continue to support Israel, one of its closest allies, its only real ally in the Middle East. And Israel is fighting for survival. The cowards at Hezbollah, hiding out with civilians in Lebanon while bombing civilian targets in Israel, have continued to increase their attacks. By the way, why aren't these protesters including Hezbollah in their ridiculous protests that Israel is hurting civilians and Hamas? Remember, there's hardly any distinction between the civilians and the Hamas over there. The folks over there were involved in the October 7th. Not all the people that committed the atrocities on October 7th were official members of Hamas. And yet these protests go on and on while Israel has gone way out of its way to protect civilians. And yet at the same time, Hezbollah is directly attacking civilian targets in Israel. Nobody protests that. What's going on here, folks? In addition to the atrocities of October 7th, Israel has 80,000 civilians in other parts of the country due to the bombing by these terrorists. This would be like the United States taking all the citizens, the 4 million citizens of Houston, and moving them out of the state of Texas because of possible attacks. Folks, this is a horrible situation, and the U.S. needs to provide full military support to Israel so that it can respond to this unmitigated and unwelcome aggression that should have been crushed already. Federal Reserve officials warn of rate hikes if inflation persists. Americans, I don't know about the rest of you, but I am tired of hearing about this. So for almost a year, all we have heard that rate hikes were going to come as the inflation rate dropped. But inflation it has still not gotten down beyond a certain point. And of course, many, many Americans are suddenly realizing the reality of inflation. Lowering the rate does not mean that prices will go back to their pre-inflation level. So the feds are afraid that if we lower the Fed funds rate, the inflation will jump back up and they will look like fools. In contrast, if they don't lower the rate, they are afraid this will handicap the Dems' prospects for the upcoming elections. And yet we are told the Feds is politically neutral. Nonsense, folks. Federal court blocks expansion of Title IX to include gender identity. Joe Biden issued an executive order on March 8th, which told the U.S. Department of Education, or DOE, to amend Title IX in a way that includes protections for an educational environment free of discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. First, when rational lawmakers are polled, the first agency they would dump is DOE. Second, if a person has legitimately transitioned their gender, a procedure that has been around since the 1960s, they do not need Title IX to be amended. It would protect a man who has transitioned from male to female officially. Note that this is a significant surgical procedure paired with lifetime hormone treatments. It is not something to be taken lightly. Third, so who are we protecting by this nonsense of changing Title IX? These are in almost every case, biological men who have not formally transitioned. They are in it to spy in restrooms and locker rooms, as well as competing against women in sports. Let's not mince words. This is not about protecting LGBT rights. This is an unusual category. It's not mainstream thought, and it's not something our government should be in any way imposing on our population. It's despite the setbacks in the federal courts, like a lot of federal agencies under Biden, they've said they're going to keep pushing to do this. Ridiculous and un-American. The Heritage Foundation's Project 25 is a training program to hopefully create some qualified potential candidates for various government functions if and when the GOP takes over again in DC. It's nothing more, nothing less. And we keep hearing this hysteria from the crazed Democrats about this program being a bad program. And folks, it's as simple as it gets. And of course, the Democrats are in training 24/7 for decades. And so they don't want to acknowledge the fact that this relatively new program might be training people in parallel on the other side of the aisle. Gee, sorry about that, Dems. A little payback coming. In something that should be a classic no-brainer, the U.S. Treasury Department has issued proposed rulemaking to expand the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, CFIUS. This is a security committee which is supposed to review land purchases by foreign buyers near dozens of additional U.S. military sites. The proposed rule would increase the power of CFIUS to review land sales near 56 additional military sites. Now, Americans, where has this committee been when the Chinese and its surrogates have been buying up land near military bases all over the United States? I did not even know this committee existed. Let's get with it, folks. We need to get on top of it and stop allowing our enemies to buy land up near our bases. This is Dr. David D. Schein for Saving America. Please subscribe on your favorite platform.